Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Outer Realm, a spin-off show of our sister show, The Outer Realm, which airs every Wednesday and Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM from the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM from beautiful New Orleans. So today we've got a very special guest, and I've really been looking forward to this. It's definitely a journey that needs to be shared, especially in these times. Times are very heavy, and there's often reasons for that. And there's a lot of people out there who are, shall I say, warriors in service. And Eira Wulfnothsson is definitely one of these people. She has an incredible journey. I guess you could say from the darkness into the light. It's just a lot of twists and turns. And we're going to let, sorry, my latte is rebelling. We're going to let her lead the way and just share her journey with us. And I'm sure there'll be people here who will resonate with a lot of it. And with that being said, I'm glad that my chat family is exactly who they are, because you're all wonderful. And look who's first in line. Hello, Heidi. Hello. How are you? So without further ado, Eira Wulfnothsson. Hello. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, thank you. Believe me, thank you. I've really been looking forward to meeting you. I've been looking forward to hearing this journey. You were recently on a segment, I guess. Well, probably, in the summer at some point with my friend, George from the Reveal Report, and he's just very, he's enthusiastic. That's why I love him. But it's how I found you, so I just wanted to give him a little bit of a shout out. You have an extraordinary journey, and one that goes up and down, twists and turns. They should be making a film about your life. I really think it's just.
I am the most boring person on the planet. No, no films about my life. Everyone would be asleep.
Oh, I don't know about that. It's one of education, if anything, and spiritual enlightenment, So I guess normally I like to say, like, let's start with humble beginnings, but you just, I know. I mean, how do you even, it's just such an extraordinary beginning from such a young age. So where would you like to start with it? This is your life, Eira. Let's go. I feel like I'm a talk show host.
And I had zero control over my own life. Yeah. So where do I start from? I guess I could start from before birth.
No,
really.
no,
Not really.
Yeah, that's it. Take it wherever you want to take it, girl.
No, it's my mother was an energumen, which means a possessed person who is willfully possessed. So before I was born, she was probably carrying me in her womb as she was possessed. I grew up in a Luciferian world, which is generational, family, bloodline, however. I don't really like to talk about that very much because it almost sounds, when people speak of it, as if they're saying they're special. They're not. But growing up in a Luciferian world, I went through the grooming process. I went through some pretty tremendous stories that I no longer talk about because it's very clickbaity, very dark. You can imagine it better than I could ever tell it. It's not appropriate. But I grew into a young person, which after the ordinary grooming process, the testing process, the first initiation, I entered a mystery school. I've actually attended two. The second one was inconsequential. It doesn't matter. But the first mystery school I attended, now I was brought to Bohemian Grove at age 3. I don't even like telling this stuff as the precursor to my story or the preamble, because it really doesn't matter in the end what I learned in the mystery schools. I'll give you just a brief rattle it out. I actually have to write it down. So yeah. So
That's okay. It's wherever you're comfortable with, Ira.
that you learn within a mystery school, and the only reason I share this is because what you'll find at the end of the story is why it mattered. So I was in the occult for 4 decades. What I studied was I was a member of the International Alchemy Guild and performed both laboratory and spiritual alchemy. I've studied the trivium, quadrivium, Hermetic philosophy, Kabbalah, theurgy, geomancy, necromancy, astrology, tarot, alchemistic philosophy, occult symbolism, the Hebrew alphabet, classical angelology and demonology, universal symbolism and archetypes, and human psychology. I have performed Enochian magic, high magic, ceremonial and ritual magic, the Golden Dawn, and once I obtained a 4-year classical education in global shamanism, mythology, origins, and methodology. So that sounds like a lot. Trivium and quadrivium are basically rhetoric, mathematics, music, etc. The stuff that you need to apply to philosophy with logic and reason. So this is Luciferian. It's not Satanism. Yes,
There's a difference. Yeah.
all of these things worship Satan or Lucifer, or they're not the same. However, in Satanism, most people in modern day are not learning the how and why of things. Within high functioning Luciferianism, as you move up the grades within the orders, the most prominent order in my life was Rosicrucianism. That order no longer exists. It's probably the people that mentored me are over 100 years old. People don't realize I'm almost 70. So I learned in person. And learning in person is quite different. There was no internet. There was no cell phones. There was no selfies.
Right.
So it is quite a different. I am the last of my kind, probably. I come from another generation. Most people are 20 and 30, and that's wonderful, but I don't speak the same language. So growing up in this fashion, there was a presence in my life that was rare and out of context, which was an angelic or Marian presence. In other words, I didn't know what Christianity was. No one in my family had been Christian for generations. My lineage goes back to Odin. So I had no education on Christianity or Jesus or Mary or holy angels.
Yeah.
And when I was a very tiny girl, probably before I was 4 years old, and probably about the time I was taken to Bohemian Grove for whatever it was that they did.
Yes.
And yes,
of course.
and yes, women do enter Bohemian Grove. I always get comments, women can't go to Bohemian Grove. We have to remember this is a place where many orders will gather and mingle, as well as politicians and the elite, the wealthy. The Manhattan Project was hatched there. So a lot of things that are not so great happen there.
Yes.
As you know.
Yes.
It is Masonic to a degree, but Masonry is not the only thing out there within secret societies, as you call them.
Yes.
But at a very young age, around that time, I would be sitting in the living room as my mother got ready in the morning, putting on her makeup and her Rainette hairspray back in those days.
Yeah.
And there would be what I would call today angelic beings, just pure white, ethereal beings that would float through the ceiling. And they would always say the same thing. And my entire life, I have remembered these little beings that would just float through the ceiling. And they almost reminded me of the movie Cocoon, where the white beings would just float around. And they would say, "It's not time yet. It's not time yet." And I never knew my whole life I would have this very vivid memory in my back pocket. It's not time yet. As I went through my life of performing ceremonial magic and well, I don't need to go into what that was like, but
No, it's wherever you want to take it,
but,
Ira.
but I always remembered these angelic beings that just came at a time when my life was starting to get darker at that early age. And they were there almost saying, like, don't worry, that a time will come. At 10 years old, the next Christian preternatural, supernatural experience I had was with Mary. And Mary has been a big part of my life. My whole life, I was told I was born on the Feast of Numeralia, which is August 15th. It's an occult feast day. And keep that in your back pocket as I tell this next part of the story. At 10 years old, my mother took me to a little house on our estate. And the estate was behind big iron gates. And this was a little teeny house that the earth was reclaiming. It was grown over with blackberry brambles and it was crumbling. And yet she unlocked the door. And when we entered, she was carrying a measuring stick for curtains and paint swatches. And as I entered through the door behind her, I almost went to my knees in horror. I'm 10 years old. And I observed floor to ceiling, the walls were covered in splattered blood. And my mother never said a word. And my sister was going to return home from finishing school in Switzerland. She was going to live there. She was pregnant. And when my sister returned, I was told she was going to babysit me for the night. So I was put on the couch in darkness, the door closed to my sister's bedroom. And I could just feel the evil that was hidden under those cheerful yellow walls now.
Mm.
In the darkness, I could feel what had happened there and what was surrounding me. And I began to cry. And suddenly I began to smell flowers. So that's another data point you want to remember. Smelling flowers and August 15th. And as I began to smell these flowers, a beautiful manifestation of light appeared in front of me as I lay upon the couch. And it was a demure, maybe 5 foot tall at the most, woman wearing an all lace veil and a beautiful lace dress. And she was so close to me, hovering in the air, that I could see each piece of lace was glowing with light. I could see the tapestry of the lace. And I was able to fall asleep peacefully. Now, flash forward to age 26. My life has been doing ceremonial magic, attending the mystery school, total darkness. Well, I shouldn't say total darkness. Not all of my experiences, I can't say I regret them. But at 26, I was pregnant. Now, I had 5 commissioned abortions before I was 20, which began at age 14. And commissioned abortions are because you've suffered something called, and I don't really want to talk about that part,
It's okay. That's okay.
But it's a part of ritual, and the outcome is that then you're commissioned to have an abortion, and this is also a sacrifice to Moloch.
Yes.
By default.
Yes.
And I had carried that with me my whole life. I wanted a child. I was not married. I became pregnant and I had emancipated from my family. And I was going to do anything I could to bring this child into the world. I loved him before he was anything more than just a little seed.
Yes.
So I began to bleed. I went to the doctor and the doctor did an ultrasound and he said, the child is not living. You're going to miscarry. It's going to be very painful. So we need to schedule a surgery, a procedure right away. And I was devastated. And so I scheduled the surgery that day and I went home and I had a dream. And in that dream, that beautiful woman appeared and I was smelling flowers. She was standing on top of a boulder in a large desert. And she looked exactly like you see the classical images of Mary. And her veil blew away and she was profoundly beautiful. And she said, you're going to have a boy. And then she gave me his name. Now I know that sounds kind of, like, oh,
No,
you're special or something. No, I have
yeah.
heard stories where many others have had a very similar dream in these circumstances. So I went home. I called the doctor and I said, I'm sorry, I need to cancel this surgery. It was so strong upon my heart. And I believe a month or two went by. This was 40 years ago. I believe a month or two went by and I had to know. And so they were calling me the whole time. You're going to bleed to death. You're going to have pain. It's going to be really terrible. You need to come in. And I kept saying no. After a month or two, I decided I needed to know. And I returned to the doctor's office and had an ultrasound. And I will never forget the look on that doctor's face when he heard that little baby bird heartbeat on the ultrasound. My son would not be alive today had it not been for her. And I believe now, reading my life's book backwards, that all these things that I'm telling you were her. What I never knew about the Feast of Nemeralia and being born on August 15th, as I had always been told, was this is a feast day of Mary for her assumption into heaven. She is my patron saint and always has been since before I was born.
It's incredible.
Yeah, the next time Mary came into my life was during a time I was still doing batteries of Rosicrucian rituals. And a woman had given me a rosary 23 years before. She was an Irish Catholic, fallen away from the church, and her daughter was my best friend in childhood. And I went to visit her in Hawaii. And she came down the hall, staggeringly drunk, took a rosary, shoved it into my chest, and she said, "Here, you need this." I carried that rosary around for 23 years. Now, you have to remember, when she shoved that rosary into my chest, I was not Christian. I was not requisite with being Christian. I could care less about Christianity.
Yes. Yes.
And I prayed that rosary after 23 years. It was broken, bottom of my jewelry box, my whole life moving from house to house to house. When she died, I thought of her and I pulled that rosary out and I mended it. And then I Googled how to pray the rosary for dummies. And I prayed the rosary.
That's amazing. There is such a thing. Incredible.
I didn't even know what the thing was.
Yeah.
And I prayed it one time and I felt something extraordinarily profound. And I had to pray it again. Now, you have to understand, most of my friends were occultists or New Agers or shamanists or whatever they were, Bigfooters, UFO people, and paranormal investigators. I prayed that thing one time and I had to pray it again and again and again and again. And I would call my friends up and I'd say, "Hey, can I pray the rosary for you? It's really awesome. You're going to love how it makes you feel." And they'd go, "Okay." They just thought I was just ludicrous to even say that. So I knew nothing about Catholicism. And I started praying the rosary every day and stopped doing my battery of occult rituals that I did every day. And I don't know what was going on. It was just a strange time. And praying that rosary, after a few months, I was laying in bed. And my dogs were on the bed with me. I had two pit bulls at the time, and they were on the bed, and I started to smell flowers. And I'm smelling my blanket, and then there is a presence that begins to descend into the room. Now, at this time, while this is happening, in my head, I'm hearing that voice that says, "They'll never want you. You're a heretic. They'll never want you.
Ooh.
You're not good enough." Which I had been told my entire life since childhood. The grooming process is, you're not good enough. You'll never be anything without us. You cannot survive without us. And the devil kept going on and on. You're ridiculous. You're a heretic. Why would you even think about the Catholic Church. They don't want you. They're too busy with the virus and doing funerals. I mean, it was absurd what he was saying.
Mm.
Now, I'm not saying I'm hearing it like a schizophrenia person, like a schizophrenic hears this.
Yeah.
It's kind of like your own self-dialogue, but you know it's not from you because you wouldn't say that to yourself. So it's a neoma. It's coming in from outside preternaturally.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly the devil goes quiet. Zip. And I sit up in bed. And that's when it started. What I'm going to describe to you is called an illumination of conscience. Mary was present. I didn't see her with her eyes. I felt her presence very strongly. It's like seeing with the heart or whatever. All of you guys probably know all about this stuff, but it began like a movie playing in rapid motion, but it was like a tornado was just put into me of this information like this. It was every sin, every horrific deed, every awful thing I ever did in my entire life. My entire life was flashing before my eyes, but only the most evil, the most horrible, the most hurtful, the most awful things I endured and participated in, just rapid fire, rapid fire. It was like a giant hurricane was put into me. I don't even have words for it. And it was rapid fire.
Mm.
I'm thinking this is, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Oh my gosh, forgive me. And then it gets 10 times worse. I start to feel all the pain that I had caused others with these terrible actions and acts that I committed. And I'm feeling their pain. And then it gets even worse. I'm feeling the pain they go out and cause others.
It's a ripple effect.
Epic shame, guilt, horror, disgust. I can't tell you how awful it was. And then suddenly it stops. And I'm weighted down in the bed where I feel like the sin of my entire life is holding me down, physically holding me down in bed. I'm trying to lift up and I can't lift up. And I'm saying, I'm sorry, God forgive me, God forgive me, God forgive me. I'm not even Christian yet. God forgive me, God forgive me. I'm crying out. And another presence begins to work itself into the room where I start to perceive a male presence. This is something I even have trouble telling this part of the story because I don't even, it is the presence of Christ. Now I'm not seeing Christ just like I'm not seeing Mary, but I am seeing him clearly in my mind's eye, in my heart. He is measured. He's stern. He's very tempered. This is serious. He's coming in and I'm thinking, oh no, please forgive me. Please forgive me. But he pulls all of the sins off of me like feathers just with his presence. And then he begins to pull back out the amount of love that I felt from him, the amount of unconditional love and forgiveness because I was crying out, God, forgive me. I don't even think it exists on planet Earth. I have never felt love like this ever before or after. And as he pulled away in the room, all I could say was, don't go, because I had never felt that love ever. And I will spend the rest of my life knowing that I will follow him because of that. Because I felt true unconditional love that I will always believe was just a myth. But I felt it. And once I felt it with this experience, I was able to sit up in bed. And I'm also able to recognize it in the world today and give it.
So you were essentially pulled out of darkness again into light.
Well, I didn't. Someone pulled me out.
That's what I mean. Yeah, you were pulled out. This is amazing.
He forgave my sins that I was carrying that were tremendously heavy. I have to be careful how I speak on shows that are more mainstream. If I speak to a Catholic audience, I'm good to go. But I have to be very careful how I speak about this because I am traditional Roman Latin Catholic. I'm not Catholic like you see on TV.
Yeah, it's okay.
I am now a consecrated Marian. I'm consecrated to Jesus through Mary. And I serve Jesus through a mandated exorcist within the Catholic Church. So what I do is work with people that are seeking liberation within the Catholic Church. Now, I know a lot of people see the news that we Catholics see. We see it too.
Mm-hmm.
We are horrified with the pedophilia within the church, with the crimes against children, young men, women. We are horrified by the coddling of the people, the priests who have committed these actions. But this is the human confines of the church. This is not the supernatural, metaphysical, salvific church, which is outside of time and space. When Jesus handed the keys to Peter and that wisdom stream came down through the hierarchy, the apostles to the disciples. Now, people in the occult will understand the invisible college wisdom stream concept.
Yes.
It's the same.
Yes.
So when God created the universe, the entire cosmos, he created it with laws, rules, patterns, cycles, very specific. They apply in the preternatural or unseen realm, the ecosystem of the invisible part of nature, just like they apply to the holy. You will see our Catholic saints from the deep past that were bilocating, levitating. And you realize that a lot of our sensory skills or our preternatural appearing skills are graces given by God that we hone and increase, but then they can also just be graces from God as our creator. So again, I'm speaking from a Catholic perspective. You don't have to believe me, but we believe it. So within the human confines of the Catholic Church, I am horrified. That is not my church. That is not the people that I swim with. It's not their church. So there is a big thing happening within the Catholic Church. However, as an occultist, God knew no one could have evangelized me or brought me to him. Never in a million years would I have become Christian. But with the whole thing that happened to me, and I began to look at it, and it was put on my heart to pray always in Latin. And there is this preternatural reason why we want to pray in Latin when it comes to the demonic. It was put on my heart to become Catholic, specifically traditional Old Rite Latin Mass. As an ex-Luciferian, Luciferians know that the Eucharist of the Catholic Mass, they always steal it for the Black Mass. They don't steal it from Baptists or Methodists or Protestants or anyone else. They only steal it from the Catholic Church because they know the traditional Latin Mass is one of the most powerful forces against evil within the cosmos. And they talk about it. And I was one. So, you don't have to believe me.
No, you're in good company. Don't worry about that.
Just a story I tell.
Yeah.
But, I have to just be honest, and there's something in Daniel where he says, if you don't want to know the answer to the question, don't ask the question.
Exactly.
and my answer has to be Catholic, because as an ex-occultist, the kind of occultist I was, that's why I read you that list of things I studied. The old, ancient, preserved wisdom stream of the Catholic Church is all of that. Now, they're not invoking evil or demons. They are studying, observing, and documenting God's rules, laws, cycles, all of that. So what you think you know about the ancient history of the Catholic Church, it's incredibly mystical. It's incredibly supernatural. Now, today in modernity, we're Catholics or Christians with amnesia. We're losing all of that. People don't know why we face ad orientem when you face east. Occultists know why you face east. The Catholic Church faced east for the same reason. Facing west is ad hominem, is facing the direction of death. So now they're facing west. They turn and face the people. So there's all these things that I couldn't have become an ordinary denomination of Christianity. God knew that.
Mm.
And so he directed me to a Catholic evangelization for me, or it was the only thing that I would understand, that God existed. Now, Luciferians all know that God exists. They just choose to reject him. They become their own gods. That is what you're trained to become. Powerful, a powerful magician, a powerful seer, a powerful manifester, however you want to describe it. But ordinarily, those people don't go to Christianity because it's very simplistic in most cases. And the most deepest part of scripture is never translated with the deepest part of it.
Yeah.
I find the liberation and exorcism ministry that I work within is very familiar to me, because as a consultant to priests, I have the angelology and demonology background just automatically built into me from the Ars Goetia, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm.
So I'm able to understand it. And I think God knew that. So when I look back on my past and people would say, I'm so sorry that you had to go through what you did. I'm so sorry that you were an occultist. I say, God planned that, because today I'm serving the Lord in a way where, had I not had the past, or the mother that carried me as she did, or suffered what I suffered, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today in service to the Lord.
Yes.
There are people that are suffering. There are so many of them. It's like an avalanche, and they need care and they need liberation. Now, the rituals and rites within the Catholic Church were also very familiar to me as an ex-occultist. Therefore, I was able to personally, now you don't have to believe me, but I believe
Sorry
me.
about that. Yes.
It's evidence to me. These rites and rituals are so powerful in Christ. They do something that I don't believe any other denominations can do. That's just my opinion and my own observation.
Yes.
I don't know how else to say it, but these priests that are good priests, not the fallen priests or the men who have fallen into temptation, they're just human beings, but there are holy priests who honor their vows. They are so focused on the salvation of souls and the liberation ministry. Some of these mandated exorcists, like the holy priest I serve, they honor their vows. They are so elevated in their consciousness, so close to Christ and our Blessed Mother, that the demons just fall off of people. Now, there's a difference between fallen angels and demons. Some priests will debate me on this, and other people will too. We all know what a fallen angel is, but the demons are the dead spirits of the Nephilim, or the Tamanafal. So when the 200 came down on Mount Hermon in Genesis 6 and went into the daughters of men and had children with them, that's when Magica was brought down. That's when we get alchemy, metallurgy, pharmakeia, all of the root cutting, all of that. And at the same time, they made a deal with the women and with their fathers, because the covenant of marriage, they always paid a bride price, and the fathers got all of this information. Now, what they gave them was metallurgy, swords and shields, which for the time, their time, that's really great to get power and control over other human beings and subjugate them. Today, maybe they leave a crashed UFO craft for the same reason.
But might be the people right up at the helm of
so
the
they had
world.
these they had these children with them of what we call a forbidden mixture, which is why God sent the flood. I mean, everything on earth we read in scripture was polluted, and this is the same mythology and anthology within high functioning Luciferianism.
Yeah.
You learn this in the mystery school, same story. They became the Nephilim, the forbidden mixture, the hybrid beings of half God, fallen angel, God with a little g, half human. And when they died, because they weren't God created, they could not go to heaven. So it's said that they went into the wilderness as wandering spirits. They became the Shadim. But these are the ones that possess people the most, that you see in huge crowds of people where they're all goofy and screaming and angry. These spirits just want to live and have a body again. They're seeking sex and food and the pleasures of the body. And so they look to possess people. A fallen angel, they're going to possess people that really make a difference and have a giant platform, like a president or a ruler or a king or a pope or whatever.
Right.
Those are the people they're going to target,
Yes.
the most impact. But the demons are like the foot soldiers, the busy bees. And then there are also people in the world who are under the influence of the fallen angels that are the busy bees of evil, of the devil.
Mhm.
So you don't have to believe it,
Oh,
but we believe it.
I've seen things. Let me tell you, I am with you. No, I get that
Yeah.
completely.
So that's
Yeah.
my story of how I got into the exorcism ministry. Like I said, I'm a consecrated Marian. I really protect myself. I've also taken a vow of lifelong celibacy, and I'm
Mhm.
considering entering perhaps a third order Franciscan. I don't know. But
Yes. Yeah.
so I interact with the energumens and the penitents. Energumens are people who are possessed. Penitents are people who are under obsession, oppression, depression, that
Mhm.
sort of thing. They're not completely merged as a prisoner and willfully to
Mm.
an entity, to a fallen angel, and multiple. There's never just one. Just so you know.
No, it's true. It's true. Oh, it is. It's
Yeah.
true. A lot of tentacles, that reach out in a lot of different directions. When you talk of Molech, is it a concern that you see there's this giant statue sitting at the Vatican? Because of course that's the buzz, the new auditorium, with the serpent, and then you have those that are,
No, we
well, the
see.
serpent is knowledge, because you could kind of go, and but then you've got this statue there that people are, going, well, that's not right. So can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah. Actually, when you look at the ancient depictions and the sigils of Moloch, it has to do with bulls. But
Yes.
so the owl at Bohemian Grove, that's not exactly what it means, but it's fine if everybody wants to say that, because all fallen angels are invited there.
Right.
But that's not the symbolism of it, actually.
Mm.
When you talk about the Vatican, the imagery in that building that you're discussing, and it has eyes of a snake. When you look at it, it has the serpent head imagery,
Yes.
and it also has this gobbledygooky, dark looking serpenty vines coming up.
Back.
And Jesus on the cross looks, I don't know what that is. Now,
Abstract
again,
art.
no, no, it's in your face. It's
Yes.
in your face. So
Yeah.
there are so many good books that are very based in reality, written on infiltration of the Vatican. Okay, we all know about it.
Yeah.
Even the normal parish level people know about it. It's in
Yeah.
all our newscasts. We
Yeah.
understand. We see what's happening, and we are praying, God, please get this out of the church.
Yeah.
But God allows things for a certain reason, and sometimes it's to show you what you don't want. So don't do this again, folks. Say no.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
enough people say no. So how does the devil get away with so much when there's a God in the world that could just bust a move and wipe them out?
Mhm.
Well, God created free will, and all of the non-corporeal entities also were given free will. Of the angels have free will, even the fallen angels have free will, and God honors free will.
Mhm.
And that is the divine triangle. At the top of the triangle is unconditional love, which is God, which is also a generative force.
Mm.
On the two lower legs of the triangle are free will and justice. So unconditional love rests on free will. And
Mhm.
free will is the only way you can choose God. He's not a stalker. It's like the whole myth of you have to love God or else. No, He's giving you the choice to choose him. He wants you to choose. Because of free will, because we know that everything with free will always violates the free will of another, the spiritual law of justice kicks in. You might know it as karma, but justice comes. It will either be God's personal choice to send justice to you in a very unique way, or it's wired into the universe justice, where it won't come for you today. It may not come for you tomorrow. It may not come for you in a month. It may not come until the end of your life, but it will come. And even within the Catholic faith, we understand penance and penalty. We do penance because when you do things like that, when you're sinning, so to speak, there's a price to pay. There's a penalty. Yes, you're forgiven. All denominations will say this. Yes, you're forgiven when you ask for it.
Right.
But really, don't you want to make sure that you, within reciprocity, say, no, I am so sorry. I'm going to do a little extra work to make up for what I did. So that's the concept of that. But the devil is a lawyer. He's a very mendacious lawyer. He's very legalistic. We have physical laws, gravity and thermodynamics, etc. But we also have spiritual laws that are wired into the universe, which are those divine 3 laws I just mentioned, same thing. And they are also in different laws. So the devil himself and all high-functioning Luciferians, in order to avoid justice when they violate your free will, which you know, power and control, they're always doing that on a global scale, and all these evil people, they look for the loopholes and workarounds. And this is why they study spiritual law so deeply. They also study psychology deeply. They know you better than you know yourself. So during the pandemic, a lot of fear and chaos is created because that leaves you incoherent. You can't focus. You're in lower base emotions. When the fear and chaos breaks out, that's the perfect time to, quote unquote, bewitch someone or spell someone. You're seeding their deep subconscious. So on the media, the news, the evening programming, which comes actually from a group of sorcerers that were a part of the Medes in the Middle East. The Medes would be hired and commissioned by kings and rulers to control the populace with bewitchments. That's where we get the term media, right? They're still doing it.
Yes.
It's amazing, the correspondences. So when we see the fear and chaos, we have to notice the red flag, because usually a bewitchment or a narrative or programming or brainwashing, however you want to consider it, is about to take place. And during the pandemic, they gained our consent because we all said symbolically in the language of the birds, which is universal archetypal and symbolic language. You wore the mask first. That made no sense. And you were saying, I will not speak. I will not speak. I will not speak. Meanwhile, they're bewitching you on the television with the flashing colors and the toning. You're going to die. You're going to die. You're going to die. You're going to die. You know, with the stock market boxes now, the death count. And everybody like stuck the mask on, even though it made no sense. And then the second tap was the kill box. That was the vaccination. That was the goal. So all I can say is it happens all the time in a myriad of ways. You know, there's always rituals and rites being worked on the global scale. They always need your consent. If you don't say no, that's a yes. And you can say no just in your own house while you're seeing it. Just say no. I rebuke, reject, and renounce that. I do not give my consent for that. So all of us, when we see these awful things happening in the church, we're all saying, no, we don't give our consent to this. We hate it. We hope they all go to jail for 10 billion years, or we hope at the end of their life, justice comes for them. But we pray for them. We pray for their conversion and forgiveness for them. And we don't know what to say about the whole thing. But this is the world we live in. It is the wickedest time ever. I don't know if I made sense. I go
no, it absolutely does. I'm completely with you on this, and believe me, I'm following along. So, in keeping with that, what do you think when we look at these sort of rituals, like the Pope opening up these 5 portals? There's one, he looked pretty darn concerned when And he opened it up. You could
Yeah,
see he was sort of shaking a little bit, or he's a good actor, but he really did look a little bit concerned.
Yeah, I can't really speak to that. I didn't see
Okay.
that. I wasn't there. I don't know.
Well, it was like a
But
Jubilee thing, right?
I don't know. I don't know exactly
Okay.
what one you're talking about. I'm sure everybody
It was
else knows.
December 24th. They went in because the
Oh,
Vatican has
that was
portals.
Pope. So that was Pope Francis. That was the
Yes.
last Pope.
Yes,
Yeah.
just recently, yes.
I don't know. I
So,
was so
okay.
overwhelmed with what I do. I don't even watch the
Yeah.
news. And I know it's all garbage that's happening. I don't want to see it anymore. I don't want to even
Yeah.
have to say I
Right.
don't give my consent. But we have
Right.
to be really aware the devil is a lawyer. When you give your consent, he's able to avoid justice. He's white
Mhm.
knuckling it right now. All the demons are possessing homeless people. And, when a person is an energumen and they're possessed, they're not manifesting 24/7 hours a day.
No. Right.
But when I'm driving down the street in, town, I see homeless people that are talking to the sky and seeing everything. They're manifesting all the time because they have suffered. They have deep
And
wounds.
they're under the influence. It's legal now to do that in the streets in some countries.
Yeah.
So you're not of sound mind
Yeah.
either.
And I can't even drive down the street without praying for like 10 people.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
my whole life, all I'm doing is praying. Now, to occultists, my discipline in my life feels very much the same.
Yes.
The prayer life is very similar to
Yes.
what I see. I mean, God wired the universe the same way. Now, Catholicism is unique because they do the same thing. And I am horrified, like everyone else, with what's happening in the church. But it makes me believe it is a very unique and special one holy Catholic church. I mean, Catholic translates to universal. So it was just the first church. Everybody else sort of broke away in the 1500 years later. So things have been changed and rearranged. But within the Catholic Church, if you go before the Vatican Council II in the 1960s, everything is preserved for like all the centuries by monks who meticulously copied everything and preserved everything. It's just in modernity, we don't have access to the catacombs in the Vatican. We don't have access to things anymore.
Oh, I mean, some of it, can it even be translated? Maybe now in the age of technology, which is its own thing with the
Oh
whole
no,
artificial intelligence thing, right? And to me, that's just another way in for, certain ethereals. But yeah, there's so much information locked away in there that I imagine even the sect of the church that you belong to are maybe made more privy to.
well, if you ask the church, I just belong to the Roman Catholic Church, but in
Yes.
my heart, I'm sharing. I don't recognize myself in the synodal stuff. They're
Yeah.
endorsing things that God did not endorse.
Mhm.
So I just can't.
Yes.
I'm traditional. I'm pray in Latin. I I wish I
Something
could say I attend traditional Latin Mass every Sunday, but I do not because in
right?
desperation, I just want to receive confession and Holy Communion. So I get to the Novus Ordo Mass, which is a valid Mass by definition to us, but the reverence is going. Um,
Mm,
you know, when
yes.
you worship your creator of everything there is, you want to have your best china. You want to bring your best self. You want to be reverent and attentive. You
You
want
don't
that
wanna just hand him a
experience.
paper plate. Right?
No.
No.
And you don't
No.
want to show up in your flip-flops. I know people go, well, that
Yes.
shouldn't matter. That's nothing. No,
Yeah.
it symbolically it does matter. It is a language. It's the language of the birds. It's the Adamic language, the first language, the angelic language.
Mm,
So it's known by all those different names, but
mm.
symbolically you're speaking by your
Yes.
actions and by your
Yes.
words and by how you appear as a living symbol.
Yes. What is your thoughts on Antichrist? Because this is in the times that we're going through right now,
Yeah.
people think
He
we're there.
yeah. He's
Right.
white knuckling it right now. Now we're talking about the most intelligent creature Christ was not a creature, fully man, fully God.
Mhm.
Mary was a creature, but we were going to set that aside.
Mhm.
He is the most intelligent creature created by God. As a seraphim, he's the most powerful and skilled. So we're dealing with an epic enemy that hates us, that wants us all dead. You can be worshiping him, working with him, and he still hates you. You don't know it because he's a great psychopath. So if you want to understand a demon, study a psychopath. If you want to understand a psychopath, study demonology. They are the same. Demons are infantile. They're ridiculous. They throw temper tantrums. The theatrics are absurd. It's another day at the office for me. To most people, it would be terrifying. Look, it's just how it is, folks.
Yeah.
He is going to do things to you. I mean, you never go out after it. You only defend against it and protect against it in Christ. As Catholics, we ask for the intercession of the saints, the intercession of Mary. That's not praying to them like idol worship. That's asking your friends who are non-corporeal and very holy to help, to lend their prayers to yours. So to me, that's very familiar. I like that. I'm 100% on board with that. God knew I would be. And I have seen miracles when I've asked for the intercession of saints. Now, I'm speaking very much as just an ordinary person. If I was on a Catholic channel, maybe I would try to use a little better vernacular or speak in a way that's a little bit different. But I'm speaking to just people that don't know about Catholicism, and their understanding of demonology and angelology comes from the paranormal community. It's really different. But in the end, we're talking about the same entities.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It is a very big, there's too much speculation, I think, which gives a lot of false information as well. And again, I get it. We live in the times,
And I can't sit and talk about things unless I've experienced them. And I'm always telling people, I can't answer that. I don't know. If I
Yes.
didn't experience it,
Mhm.
and it's evidence to me, and that's still just a story I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I really can't say, but I can say this is the mythology, this is the anthology. You discern. You discern for yourself. Don't listen to me. Just
Yes.
listen to me for my experience or my opinion. I
Yes.
don't, like God, I'm not a stalker. I'm not trying to go out and, evangelize as many people as possible. I want them to I want to be the window that cracks, and God does the rest, and the person makes their own willful decision.
Free will, right? So all you can do, you can lead the horse to water and hope that he at least takes a sip, right?
And everybody's at a different place on the journey. Some people are not ready to hear.
No, it's true.
And I have to respect that. My example is how God is. He was not a stalker with me. I know at the bottom of every rabbit hole I went down, he was there waiting, saying, "This is silly. When are you going to be done with this silly stuff?" And I think, did I just feel that? No, this is not silly. This is highly intelligent. Only intelligent people do this. And he'd be at the bottom of every hole I went down going, this is kind of silly. You know what the truth is. And so,
Yes.
in each person's experience, it's very unique.
We have to
But we all,
welcome him in your own way.
and none of us have, quote unquote, died the normal death yet. Many people have journeyed out of body and journeyed in consciousness, and I get all that stuff. But, when it's beyond your control and you die, none of us can have reported back for sure. Now, mediums and everyone, they have their own things. That's a whole nother podcast on what I think that's about. But none of us really know, so we can't judge anyone else.
So, with that being said, when it comes to free will, what are your thoughts? Is a question from Alyssa. Sorry if I missed you perhaps talking about something like this, but what are your thoughts about choosing what we go through prior to this lifetime, such as maybe tough times, scary events, those hardships that you go through? Do you think that you could plan something like that for yourself?
I'm not sure what she means by that, but I kind of have two answers
Plan
that just flew
planning your
into
own
my
life.
head.
before you come to this place, you know?
Well, I don't believe in reincarnation. What I do believe in
Oh,
is genetic memory.
okay.
I do believe that the path we walk comes down through our lineage, and many people will always say it's a data point I've noticed. My grandmother was my great grandmother, and we have
Mm.
this, this coming through our lineage. I
Mhm.
think I'm like wolves inherit the knowledge of ancient paths. Animals seem
Mhm.
to inherit things that are dangerous as tiny babies. They already know gunfire is dangerous, or
Mm.
the genetic memory also applies to the 100th monkey effect. But I think that we get our past life experiences as genetic memories. I mean, our ancestors' past
Yes.
lives,
Yeah.
where we feel as if we've been there before, or we've lived there before, or we speak that language. I think it might be
Like a
genetic.
déjà vu as well. Yeah.
Mhm. So it's a
Yeah.
real thing, but
Mhm.
it seems more logical to me. I
Mhm.
just have never been a reincarnation person. I was
Right.
never, you
Because
know,
when you look at, like, Buddhism, for example, strictly reincarnation, like, they're very
yeah,
spiritual and very much about reincarnation. But, I mean,
yeah.
didn't
Maybe they know.
Christ speak
Maybe
of
they
that?
know something we don't.
Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe. Mish says, "So there is
but
only one
but
God."
I
Oh,
but
go
it.
ahead. No, you go ahead. We'll come
Oh,
back to this. We'll come back
I
to it.
think there's another answer too. She said, "How do you plan your
Yeah.
life?"
Okay.
I get in trouble as a Catholic. A lot of Catholics say it's not in the Catechism,
Yeah.
but um, I feel like, what if we're all up in heaven with our Creator, and He said it's going to be a really wicked time down there. Who will go?
Mhm.
I know I would have raised my hand and said, "I will. I'll go, God. I'll
I
go."
know. I think I did the same thing.
And so my life
Yeah.
played out not because I was a victim, but
Yeah.
because I agreed to it. And it is the only way I can wrap my head around it.
The strong souls come back to fight the fight, I think, or to maybe test
Yeah.
themselves,
And
you know?
Catholics don't believe in pre-existence. Like I said, I don't believe in reincarnation.
Mm,
And I haven't died, so I can't really say what I just
yeah.
said is true. I just know that God is not,
Mm,
he's not awful. Like he's
yeah.
I love him. I mean, once I got to know God in the Old Testament, in the Pentateuch, in the Septuagint,
Mhm.
I didn't know who Jesus was. He was just some guy that walked around in scraggly clothes with sandals and dirty feet.
He's a
It's like
hippie. Yeah, is that what you're
that's
saying?
the
Yeah.
last person. But I
Yeah.
didn't know that was God coming as
Yeah.
a man, to
Mm,
sacrifice for us. I had no idea.
mm,
And I fell in love with God the Father because he was so crafty and bold, and he
mhm,
was a man's man. I mean, he would bust a move and destroy a whole city. And I thought, wow, this guy's so funny and he's loving, and then he can bust a move and send a flood. And he was just a
mhm,
strong male person to me. And
mhm,
I fell in love with him. And then I realized, oh, he's Jesus too. And then I went, wow, this guy's so humble. He came as Jesus, so vulnerable and so humble. It just made me love him more. So
mhm,
the triune God to me, Father,
mm,
Son, and Holy Spirit, is something, again, I can wrap my mind around easily because of my occult background. But no, I really do. I actually fell in love with God. Now,
mhm,
why is that important? Why does God say, get to know me, love me? Well, we
mm,
know love holds all things together, right? As a generative force, as a spiritual law, as God himself, the person.
mhm,
If you love God, after your death, he will pull you to him. That love will pull you to
mm,
that place that you desire to go, which is heaven.
mm,
It holds marriages together, parents and children together, us and our pets together, animals and nature together. Maybe different degrees of love, I agree. But it holds everything together. They even say the planets are held together and everything in the cosmos is held together by love as a force. What is
mhm,
dark energy and all of that?
mhm.
So,
Yes.
yeah, when God says, people say you need to love Jesus or God, you think, what? Why? Why are you telling me this? How dare you?
Yes.
But if you want
Yes.
a map to heaven, that's what you have to feel because, again, I'll use the term magical.
Yes.
It's just the way God created the cosmos.
Yes. So, what is your thought then on of the Old Testament, which speaks of many gods, as opposed to the question, is it one?
Those are all of the pantheons, all of the pagan gods and goddesses are gods and goddesses with a little g. In
Mhm.
Psalm 82, we read about God is absolutely excoriating the Elohim, and
Mhm.
Elohim is a descriptor. It's not just the name of God, but God is a spiritual being, as are the angels. So angels are also Elohim. A ghost could be defined as an Elohim.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
God is absolutely excoriating these council members, the Elohim, because they were not good rulers over the different factions of people. These are the gods and goddesses that we also know in the Roman pantheon, the Greek pantheon, all indigenous cultures of their gods and goddesses, Hindu, all of them. They're
Mhm.
all fallen angels. And by definition, according to the anthology and mythology, you don't have to believe me, but
Mhm.
other people believe this.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
believe it. So the
Yes.
fallen angels are the gods and goddesses. Even the
Hmm.
ones from ancient Mesopotamia, Ashtaroth, the Ugaritic gods. When you look at Baal and Leviathan, Asmodeus, Baphomet, all of them, and we rebuke, reject, and renounce them. But all of them are known by many different names, and you'll see them manifesting in many different cultures. They'll also, when you look at the gods and goddesses of ancient Egypt, the pharaoh was the living god. So
Hmm.
temples and ziggurats, that was some of the knowledge that came down with the fallen on Mount Hermon, the Magica. The knowledge of how to build a ziggurat so you could invoke or evoke the gods and capture them within a ziggurat. Um, the pharaohs were merged with those gods through initiation and ritual and rite. They became the gods. So the gods and goddesses of their culture, they would have one or more merged with them. And when we see the opening of the mouth ceremony, we know what that was. It was to either bring it in or release the
Mhm.
spirit. We see that within global shamanism often, that concept. Building the ziggurats is very similar to the Tower of Babel within the Bible. The angels were going to God, the Father, and saying, "Hey, look what they're doing down there. You need to go take a look, see." And God said, "Okay, let's go take a look."
Somebody's
And
ratting them
he
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he went down and he saw what they were doing. They were building a ziggurat, thinking they could get power and control by harnessing the little gods and goddesses with little g's, but they also thought maybe they could capture God himself, the creator who created all these creatures. And
Yes.
everything in creation is a creature. Angels are creatures, we're creatures, etc. So
Yes.
God went down and said, "Yeah, no." And he scattered them everywhere because he had originally said to the people, "Go forth and multiply, like spread out. Don't be all in one group mass thing because you get up to no good. And this is what happens. You get in trouble. And then I
Yeah.
have to send a flood. You start encouraging really bad things." And you also look at it how God troubleshot that, where people were living 900 years. You look at all
Mhm.
the patriarchs, they're living to these extraordinary ages. And then when
Mhm.
everybody starts getting out of control and out of line, God says, "Okay, you get 120 years now." And he changed it.
So the kids couldn't play nice in the sandbox, and the rest of us pay the price of shorter lifespans, is what you're
Yeah.
saying.
But
Nice.
the
Yeah.
the war was already lost. God knew that
Yes.
he was going to come as fully man and fully God, and he won that war on the cross,
Mhm.
hands down, when he suffered and died. That was him doing a tremendously epic, if I'm going to speak in occult speak, not as a Catholic, that was a sacrifice of himself to himself for us.
Mhm.
You could say it that way.
Mhm.
Even though he suffered tremendously in his human body that is beyond contemplation. And to think of the heaviness, all the sins of the world that he took on himself during the agony in the garden in Gethsemane. I can't say that word. when he was in the garden and sweating blood, he said, God, Father, please take this cup from me. It was horrible. And yet he said, thy will be done. And he went through the torture. The torture was extraordinary. When I pray the rosary, people think that's a bunch of rote prayers. It's a visualization in the sorrowful mysteries of Christ's crucifixion. So you go mentally in meditative state as you're praying these prayers to the garden, to the scourging, to the crowning of thorns, to the carrying the cross, to the crucifixion. And the crowning of thorns was not just some little wreath of thorns around his head. It was a helmet of giant, horrible, heavy things that were like that thick with giant, 2-inch nails of thorns on them. Just horrific, just pounded down on his head like a helmet. Now, to me, I couldn't even imagine an ordinary person going through a scourging, going through the crowning of thorns. If you wouldn't even have any blood left to get to your brain. And he still carried the cross and endured the crucifixion and actually said words while he was on the cross of forgiveness and hope. And I am hammer-shocked by that. I once said in a podcast, I said, that shows me he was truly fully man and fully God, because none of us could have done it. And then somebody came along and said, well, you're discounting his suffering. No, I am not. It was extraordinary. So when I go and I meditate on that, you see it, you have epiphanies and you feel that you just break down and cry. For any human being.
Oh, absolutely.
That went through that.
Absolutely. Annette says, in your opinion, what we can touch on this, could AI be the Antichrist? This looks like a good doorway in.
Hi, Annette. God bless you. Good to see you. I don't know if it's the Antichrist, but I do believe that it is a great tool for the devil to hijack. It's very common in electronics and such for the devil to just get a hold of it. Text messages, emails, not just influencing the people that is using technology. But when you see AI, they had one in the Vatican where they had an experimental AI confessional booth. That is really scary. And yeah, I think that the devil will use AI, but I don't think it will be the Antichrist by definition, because in scripture it says it will be a person. Now, when people ask me that and I have to think about it, if it's a person, that will be a willful possession through initiation and rite. So there's, in our mythology and anthology of my past, there are always 5 or 6 within the families waiting to go, offering themselves as an option for the devil.
Yeah, I've had people come on the show who've discussed it. One talked about a childhood experience that came into adulthood and how the world of Snapchat came into play, and all of a sudden the dynamics changed of the being, and things started happening in the home where he felt that oppression.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Just when you're going into haunted places or UFO-y places or whatever, one thing that I believe is fallen angels and demons are non-corporeal. They can watch you your entire life from birth until death. They can watch your ancestral line and those who came before you. So they can't read your mind, but they can guess very well. And they have all that memory material that you have. So when you encounter any of these beings, what I believe is they can manifest as anything that will hook you, anything that will lure you in. A little child in a haunted house that died in 1800 and you want to help it. And so you interact with it. but actually it's not a little child that needs help. It's something else, a dark entity that is looking to become predatory over you. And when you interact and just say,
It's an invitation, correct?
hello, it's your consent. It's
Consent.
you're being asked to initiate.
Mm-hmm.
It's a commencement of interaction,
Mm-hmm.
but you're saying yes to something. And so the grumbly old Catholic Church always says, don't interact with any of those beings. And we all go, oh, why? They're so fascinating. And they tell us things and we get healings and things. Yeah, but there's a price to pay. And this is spiritual law. At some time they will come to collect that price from you for doing those things. You don't name the price. You think you do, but you don't. And if that price isn't extremely painful to the devil, it's not worth his time.
Exactly.
So we have to remember that. And, it's like I'm taking the wind out of, a lot of people's joy. They love to interact with UFOs and all these things. I mean, I can only speak for myself and my own experience. You can tell me I'm full of hooey. I get it.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, if you follow Nathaniel Gillis at all, he works with a great deal of research looking at the phenomenon that you have made mention of, and there's a lot out there. I think we're living in the age also of, and again, I always tell the story when I was 14 about a Catholic church friend of the family who everybody thought, oh, we're going to sit her down with, with Father Don. He'll straighten her out, and he always told me about this time that would come. Like he was like he was the young priest, right? And so like, he's just very up on everything, and he was very open-minded, but he never strayed from the fact that at some point, and he said in my lifetime, and sadly he passed young, but he said, there will be signs that you will see. And you're going to go through this whole new age thing. You're going to go through, these extraterrestrial
the apostasy.
Things. You're going to go through oh, yes. And he just
the apostasy in the Catholic Church. Yeah, it's all happening. We're watching it all play out, and it's all connected and corresponding.
Yes. But way back then, because I'm aging myself. I'm aging myself, but way back then, it was something that was, I think, just being talked about. Like he said, like, this isn't something, even at the time he goes, I don't go into the congregation and give out everything. He goes, a lot of people can't. And I was 14 and I understood it. Oddly enough, I understood it all. And as I bet you in another decade, he started, they must have been preparing people back then, because now here we are, like you say, we're in this age where you could go to AI for grieving. They have a grieving chat like Snapchat.
Yeah, AI, I don't like it.
Yes.
I'm sure that they'll get a lot of benefits out of it that are extraordinary. But again, that's the theme of the devil. He's going to come in and, prophecy and in scripture, it says, everybody's going to think he's just like a new Jesus. He's the return, because he will be able to heal people and do miraculous things until he doesn't. And that's how these beings are interacting with us, most of us in our lives. They're wonderful until they're not. You look at a psychopath, there's the honeymoon phase. They're wonderful until they're not. So we have to just be very careful. And, my advice is to position yourself in your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, or figure out another way that you think you could, I don't believe there is one, but that's me. I'm not here to judge anybody else, but most people, when they can't find relief any other way, will come to someone like the holy priest that I serve with or serve. They come to a mandated Catholic exorcist.
Absolutely. Do you think that these agendas and prophecies in general are being purposely projected out and like pushed out, made to happen sooner than they should? Or do you think things are happening, in your opinion, with your knowledge? Because I don't want to put you on the spot. Do you think they're happening as they should?
I'll be really honest with you.
Yes.
Everybody that knows me knows I'm not a theologian or a scholar. I'm not an expert on the end times. I just know what I sense. And
Yes.
I feel like, it is playing out. But then again, people have been saying that for 2,000 years, which is probably when it
Yes.
actually did start.
Yes.
It's just, what
Yeah.
is God's timeline? And
Yeah.
people debate and argue, and everybody thinks they have the answers. I'm not God. I'm not going to debate anybody that I don't think I have any answers. I have to
Right.
just observe and live
Mhm.
each moment in Christ with our
Mhm.
Blessed Mother. Just live each moment as if it is the end time,
Mhm.
because I'll be ready that way.
That's wise words. Live for the moment, love hard. Can you tell? A question. Can you tell when someone is in the state? At the time of the question, you were talking about oppressions and infiltrations and that sort of thing on
Yeah.
individuals.
Yeah, I usually feel like I can. Now, I'm not perfect and I'm not always correct. I believe my holy priest also, who will come in and either discern himself and say, I don't think you're right, Eira. Or he'll say, yeah, I think you're onto something, Eira. So I document, I interact with them, I speak
Mhm.
to them, and I can usually get a pretty good bead from what they're saying and doing and the history that they give me. However, it is always up to the priest to discern in Christ, much more powerful.
Mhm.
So I follow what the priest says in his final discernment. I've seen him discern things that are so preternaturally, supernaturally influenced that I can't even believe I see it.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I don't question.
Yeah. Go with it if it works.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
so your book, I want to put up your book. There it is.
And
Yeah.
actually, Annette, who came on and asked the question,
Yes, Annette. Yes.
she made this cover,
Annette,
and
look
it's
at you go.
beautiful.
Annette is one of the hosts with Father Sean Woodington
Yeah.
on our network.
Yeah, thank you, and God bless you, Annette.
Yeah.
I get compliments on it all the time.
Oh, it's lovely. So I did put this and like your books, your website,
Thank
Amazon
you,
links to both your books,
thank you.
descriptions to both the books also.
Yeah,
Everything is there.
she did both book covers and did the presentation on the interior of the book. She did a great job.
Oh, it's fabulous.
Yeah.
But then again, that's our Annette.
Yeah.
So, you know. Um, so all of these can be found on Amazon. And you have anything coming up that you want to share with everybody? Or podcasts that you want to share? Do you have any events? Are you just
No,
working
no,
girl, working hard?
yeah, I'm so busy. I'm up at sunrise and I don't finish. I don't lay my head down
Mhm.
until like 10 o'clock at night, maybe.
Wow.
It's just nonstop. The Lord is very busy, and there
Yes.
are a lot of people that are suffering. And, when you're working, I hate to call it a case, but when you're working on a case that's on the table,
Mhm.
you have to give care and you need to be able to pray with them. And sometimes they just need an ear to listen. And
Mhm.
you need to make yourself available because this is a tremendously painful, horrible event to suffer. And if you're fortunate to get as far as under the care and into the liberation or exorcism ministry, um, it's really hard to get into it. And then to get there, you need a lot of emotional support to get through it. So
Mhm.
that's a lot of my day. And praying is a lot of my day because we're constantly praying. Somebody's doing a minor exorcism or a solemn rite exorcism. Somebody's always doing something. It is that many people out there that are seeking liberation.
Mhm.
It's incredible.
How do you avoid it all? How do you avoid, aside from
Oh,
not giving consent?
yeah. I never saw this coming.
Yeah.
It was sort of like the Lord just went, this is what you're going to do. You really don't want to be a person that wants to do this.
Mhm.
And you don't want to do it when you're doing it. But there is a tremendous amount of joy that comes out of it too. And
Mhm.
your faith deepens and the testimonies that come out of it. I could write a book on the most fascinating, horrific, and yet informative sessions. I mean,
Yes.
people are manifesting, they're apporting things into their mouth and then spitting them out into their ears. Things are manifesting in priests' hands during the rite. The Bible catches on fire. You can't deny this stuff.
Yeah.
It's just happening, and it happens. And there is a lot of harassment. For example, when I'm about to pray for a really tremendous rite being performed, like either a solemn rite or the case is with a particular fallen angel that's very rambunctious and awful. Everything 2 days before I even get the prayer request will start exploding in my house. And so now that is a key for me to say, oh, God's saying incoming.
Ah.
2 days after everything explodes, sure enough, I get a priest, there are different priests. A priest will call and say, we're doing this. Can you please be present and with your prayers? All in the same day, I can get a gas leak that fills my house. I can have the touch screen on my car become possessed and start turning on the heater and the radio and everything at one time. My refrigerator can stop functioning where the ice maker's going and the water won't stop and it's going all over the floor. My dog can begin to vomit all day on a day that I have to put her in the car to go to a doctor's. It's
So everything goes wrong. Anything that can go wrong goes wrong,
a
essentially.
million emails will come in from people I haven't heard from with a bunch of vacuous, ridiculous stuff.
Distraction.
Just everything you can imagine. So
Yeah.
I don't pray. And I have had days where I'm driving a car, praying the rosary, going to an emergency, a fire or a lost dog or a kid fell out of something. I'm trying to get there and I'm trying to talk to people while I'm still praying in Latin, the rosary. So my brain is like functioning on a million levels and I have to finish. I am determined. I am not going to let the devil get away with it because he's just the most irritating, infantile, psychopathic piece of crap ever.
Just wants his way. So for those who don't speak in Latin, he says, is there a prayer that we can say to help?
Yeah, you can always pray the rosary. There is a Catholic book put out by Father Chad Ripperger. He compiled he didn't compile. He had this book printed. It's called the Auxilium Christianorum, and it is prayers for all the priests and those in the Christianorum. And that also prays the Auxilium Christianorum. I know that. And the Litany of the Precious Blood is very efficacious, as Father Rupperger likes to say. The Litany of Humility is amazing for your protection because it removes everything that you fear that the devil preys on to get to you. If you're not afraid of judgment and people judging you and all of the little things that we humans deal with, the Litany of Humility just removes all those things. It's not only a grace from God comes upon you, it actually rewires your brain, I think.
So
it's healing. It's healing on 3 levels, the 3 planes of existence, the spiritual, intellectual, and the physical.
I love it. And I'm so glad that you came on to share your story with us, your journey, which has been incredible to say the least. You're a wealth of knowledge, and we appreciate all of your hard work because, I have to say thank you for your service because you are in servitude. And you give of yourself every single day. You are that spiritual warrior.
I am so not worthy. There is a very famous saying. I want to say it's I think it's Aquinas. I have been all things unholy, but if God can work through me, he can work through anyone. And we see it all the time. So many people are in spiritual battle and praying for others. I'm a nobody. God somehow used the most awful parts of me and reversed them and used them for good. So it's not me. It's all God, and glory to God.
It's all part of the healing process. Sometimes you just have to you learn from every experience in your life. There's a reason for everything, and you have to learn to trust in what those reasons are. It's
Yeah.
like you say, for all these years, you had no idea. I didn't know understand what all this was or who Mary was,
Uh,
or because you weren't conditioned to. It wasn't a part. It wasn't ingrained into you. You
no,
know.
every morning I wake up, I just say, I'm in service to you, Lord. Use me as you will. I
Yeah.
just let go of control. I'm too old. I'm almost
Yes.
70. And it's
Yeah.
kind of like, do I want to plan anything? No. So I just
Yeah.
open up and I let the Lord come in. And I do have such a wonderful relationship, a loving motherly relationship with our Blessed Mother Mary.
Mhm.
And I am never alone. And
Yes.
yet I'm always alone, but I'm never alone.
Yes. Well, you whatever you're doing, again, we thank you for it, and I think
And
it's
thank you
very.
to you as well. Thank you for your work that you're doing. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And God bless you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, and I hope you will return because there's so many interesting things that make up Ira, to say the least, even though you don't think so. You're very humble, but you have a lot of information to share, and I think a lot of people need to hear it because there's a lot of people that are feeling lost right now and they don't really know where to turn. And a lot of them do lose faith, thinking that, why am I in this situation? I should be, where is my God now? This is a lot of stuff that you're hearing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear it all the time. It's heartbreaking.
Yes.
But, come to my channel at Pipples of the Lord, Spiritual Warfare on YouTube. I mean, it's just my journey.
Hmm.
It's easy listening. Sometimes I just spitball. I just get on and talk and it's not that great, but
No,
I'm
I've
there.
subscribed. I
And
enjoy it. Thanks.
and all the viewers are there and they all help each other and pray for each other and teach
Hmm.
each other. I mean, they teach me all the time. It's such a wonderful group of people.
Hmm.
And I think anybody would enjoy it. That everybody's welcome.
Hmm.
So
It's very lighthearted. I subscribed and I listen, and I very much enjoy the
oh, God
content.
bless you.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
So, to all of you guys who have tuned in around the world, I thank you. And to everybody in chat, my chat family, I love you all. And I thank you so much for your participation and open minds as always. Tomorrow night, guys, on the Outer Realm, the main show, Maxim Furyk returns to talk about his book, The Smurl Haunting, the day Ed and Lorraine Warren came to town. Thursday night, Wayne is back. We're going to be having our All Hallows Eve segment, essentially talking about ancient origins and traditions and lore of Halloween and how the world celebrates it today. So, how it came from here to here. Because believe it or not everybody celebrates it the same. So, it's all really fascinating stuff. So, big thank you to all of you. Big thank you to Ira. Big thank you to United Public Radio Network, to which we've been broadcasting live 105.3 FM from the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM from New Orleans. So we're signing off and thank you all again. Goodbye.